The topic for this video is roguelikes. Now, the roguelikes go back quite a ways in computer gaming history, back into the 1980s, when the original game Rogue was created. And Rogue used ASCII graphics, was randomly generated, and extremely hard to do. From there, many different variants were created, and many different games have taken their inspiration from the original roguelike. Sort of highlight real quick some of the current inspirations. You have Cardinal Quest, which had a successful Kickstarter campaign. Dungeons of Draymore, which is available on Steam, and even the well-known Diablo has taken quite a bit of its foundation from roguelikes. Diablo 3, not so much. The original Diablo and Diablo 2, very much so. So generally, a roguelike is about exploration and adventure. One of the key features of a roguelike is that it has procedurally generated dungeons. No two games are ever going to be exactly the same. All the maps are always generated new each game that you play. Now, there's a lot of different ways that you can do this. At the Rogue Basin, they have lots of different articles on how to create roguelikes. And in fact, one of those articles is what we're going to base this semester's project off of. Now, the eventual goal here is that by the time we complete the second semester of programming, you will have a complete 3D roguelike available to show people, and it's fully playable, fully realized game. It'll be fairly basic, but it'll be a fully realized game. And so we're going to start in this semester with laying down the foundation of procedurally generating the dungeon that the player is going to go through. And for this, we are going to use the basic BSP dungeon generation algorithm that is listed on the website. I'm going to step through the basics here. But one thing I want to warn about this particular algorithm, and it will be talked in much greater depth in other videos, is that it is deceptively simple. It is exceptionally easy to describe how to do this in plain language, to show how it's supposed to work. Actually implementing this, especially once we get to the corridor connection stage, tends to be very, very tricky. So with that in mind, let's go over this algorithm. The general idea to start with is that we are going to split the dungeon continuously into two separate pieces. Hence the binary part of this. We're always going to be splitting things in twos. So we're going to take our original area, split it into two. So now we have two nodes, A and B. We'll take A and split it into A1 and A2. We'll take B and split it into B1, B2. This splitting will continue until you have divided your space up into the area that you want. So as we can see here, this is after 4 splitting iterations, and we've got these series of spaces now that we can fill in. After we've gotten our spaces created, we need to fill them in with rooms. Now, to give some variance here, we don't want to completely fill in the space. Instead, we're going to fill in the space with a randomly sized room, randomly positioned within it. A couple of things we need to watch out for, unless, of course, you want this effect. You want to make sure that rooms do not touch, because that will really mess with the corridor generation later on. So you got to make sure that you keep the rooms away from the edges. And you just fill in the rooms with randomly sized, randomly placed areas. Once you have done that, we're going to take a look at the leaves of the tree. And the leaves are the very last series of nodes that you split. So all of these spaces here, the individual spaces, are the leaves. And we're going to take each of these pairs, because everything's going to be in pairs. So we've got these two are paired to this one. A1 and A2 is paired to A. Here's A1, so you've got A1.1, A1.2, and then you've got, again, A1.1.1, so on and so forth. All of these things are paired. So these two belong to this area, and then this area and this area belong to A1, and then A1 and A2 are paired to A and B are paired to the root dungeon. So we're going to take those pairs and we're going to connect them with a corridor. Then we'll move one level up. So now we're connecting the next level. So as I said before, this is a leaf, this is a leaf. We connect these two, connect these two. Then we're going to look at this and this as a pair and connect it. We'll look at this and this as a pair and connect it. We will repeat this process until we get down to the final pairing, A and B, which would be this side and this side, and we'll connect them together, shown right here. Now, what are the useful properties of this? Why is this a good way to generate a random dungeon? Well, the first property that's really nice is that it guarantees us complete traversal throughout the dungeon. It guarantees us that no matter which room we start in, we can reach every single other room in the dungeon. So remember, since we're always connecting things on pairs, so we're connecting these two together, then we're connecting these 4 rooms together, then we would connect these 8 rooms together, then we would connect these 16 rooms together. Since we're always doing this in pairs, we're guaranteed to be able to have complete traversal. I can start at any room, this one here, and visit every room. There, come up here, come back down, hit there, go down and up, come over here, just traversed all the rooms. That's sort of the real sort of core key feature. It gives us a pretty good randomized dungeon, and yet it guarantees connectivity. We don't have to test to see if we can get everywhere. With other dungeon algorithms, you have to be careful of this. You've got to use AI pathing to ensure that you can navigate to all rooms. The next property of this dungeon that is very handy is that it gives us an excellent way of being able to increase difficulty and place items such as keys. And by that I mean, I know that if I start in A1, I will eventually be able to cross over into the Bs. So if I start here, start in A1, which I know is going to have several different rooms in it. Once I cross into A2, which I know I will cross into A2 before I cross into B1. Notice there's no way for this algorithm to generate such that I can skip straight over to B1. I can't do it. The algorithm will not let me. A1 is going to connect to A2. And then from there, I can cross over into the Bs. And so by knowing this, knowing that if I'm here, I have to connect here first, or if I'm here, I have to connect here first, it allows you to do scalable difficulty. So it's like, okay, well, if I start here, if I start on the left-hand side of the tree, it's going to be easier, and then once I get to the right-hand side of the tree, it's going to be harder. You can do things like that and be assured that the player is going to be able to roughly follow the difficulty flow of the dungeon. The other good thing, like I said, is locks and keys. If I want to lock this passage between A and B, and I know if the player is on A, as long as I put the key somewhere in A, the player is guaranteed of being able to find the key. Or likewise, if the player is on the B side and this door is locked, as long as I place that key someplace on the B side, I can guarantee that the player is going to be able to reach it. And that covers the basics of the algorithm. Like I said, there's a lot of very fine-grained details that are going to go into this, and those will be dealt with in other videos focused and targeted specifically for those aspects. But this is a good introduction to the algorithm, and if you're interested, go check out some roguelikes. There's tons of roguelikes that you can download and play for free. Granted, a lot of them use the ASCII interface, letters and characters to represent things, but there's also plenty of graphical roguelikes too that don't rely on such things. So go out there, experience some roguelikes, and look over and become very familiar with this algorithm, so that way you know what it is that you're going to be doing as you're working on the algorithm. Until the next video.